Well, how's everybody doing? Pleasure to be with you. Day 298 of 365 days towards racial change. My name is Tomlin Nyback. We're here talking about Black issues, how that intersects, cross connects with life in America amongst a power group predominantly white. Um, we're not a hate community where this is merely educational. We're just planting seeds, later on as me, like the efforts here. I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Anderson, which we're going to get into his material today. Plenty of places that are not biased per se, but to give us the education to look at the foundation of some really uh, problematic issues, ideologies, whatever, in the United States of America. I work nights. I'm a blue collar guy. I'm not affluent and stuff. I don't have endowments and trusts and things like that. Yeah, I'm working towards that. Maybe get in a position to give that, to the next generation of mine. Um, I laugh because it's incredible this tangled web we call America that favors uh, the few. Well, it favors the few of the power majority, and then you got those people being power brokers and doing stuff in the world. You but anyway, it's quite the mess. But if we look at we've not come, in my mind, now that thought about this, this is the 298th video that we're laying down. Small community. I see my subscribers and welcome new people. But I was on my plantation doing my stuff, right? I don't self-determine. I don't have people on my property paying my rent, taxes, bills, and stuff like that, keeping it up. Right. See, what I'm trying to say is slavery is not going anywhere. Uh, Exploiting people has not departed from the land, and the land is not trying America, even from sure in the world, but especially in America. And I'm acutely critical of America because America says, that we are pushing the envelope on freedom and opportunities and all this stuff. And it's just not so. It is not what is happening in general systemically. You have to, by fortune and favor, you may navigate the system. I know plenty of blacks that are happy that have no interest in this topic that don't aren't critical of me, but are like, no, I've navigated quite well in the American system. There's no issue, right? So I wonder, so I'm realistic. I'm this way because I did run into roadblocks and have to navigate and have, had to be, well, didn't have to be, but was, still am to a great degree, discriminated against, marginalized, um, kept disadvantaged, hobbled. Right? I don't move in out and around the American system and the American way like white people in general in no way, shape, or form. And unfortunately, like I can't put the argument and the blame all on that side of the fence, because I fell into a lot of the same pitfalls and traps that America can present. Drugs, alcohol, wasting time, and all these things that served some portion of the white community, where there's law enforcement, rehabs, you name it. Like the dysfunction, and Dr. Anderson talks about this too, how the dysfunction, how black people engage in America's dysfunctions, and how there's a white institution there to benefit from that, whether it's locking us up like Jim Crow, semi-slavery, or they provide a rehab when we're ready to get off drugs, or they provide this when we're trying to get out of that, or the white community provides that when we're jammed up in this, right? As you step back, step out of your skin, and just move to the side by a couple of degrees, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Yet at the same time of producing for, being a benefit to, helping those, are the ancestral scars on black people, that doesn't equate to reparations, favor, and stuff, right? If black people, and this is the way with any challenged group in America, right? On paper, everybody's equal, and it's a Disneyland melting pot. But when it comes time for the rubber to meet the road and people have equal access to wealth and resources, then we got to march, and we got to maybe suffer abuse, have our martyrs, and on, right? And then once uh, the violence stops, then we go to the bureaucratic arena, and then it's got to be litigated, legislated, and all this stuff, and then it eventually trickles up into the hands of white power anyway, and they decide, right? They go in the back room, deliberate, and when they come out with their plan for us, it looks and sounds so equitable and all that. It's amazing what's happened to my mind and attitude about this country. Uh, and listen, like, there's nowhere on earth, I don't think it's possible to find a place on earth where the idea of privilege and disadvantage does not exist. Everywhere it's going to be, right? We're going through, it's early January 2020. Give you let's position ourselves in time. We've traded blows, like in a boxing match with Iran and stuff like that. And it's incredible. Like, we got this administration regime that I already don't have a lot of distrust towards, and I'm realizing, like, I have no idea what the media is telling me. If the media is telling me the truth, if my government's telling me the truth, and all this stuff, and we're wrapped up, and like, so much of my energy in the form of monetary um, contribution is poured in to that machine. right? They said upwards of like there's like 60,000 people deployed. That's just men and women, bodies, troops. We got machinery, we got surveillance, we got training, supplies, ammunition, right? Man, this country is burning through resources, and I have to, because everybody's trying and struggling. I've got to work harder on a plantation overnight when I'd really rather be doing something else that I think would be just as beneficial to society. But that's it's no different anywhere. I was thinking today is like, what are the poor folks, the silent folks in the, let's just use the respective countries, Iran, United States. What are they thinking, saying? I know they were marching in parades for their guy got assassinated by us. But I wonder if poor folks in Iran are like, will you stop the fighting already? I wish there was a day coming, which it's not, because the earth is just completely twisted, perpetually twisted, intentionally twisted. But I'd like to see a day when I could like sit down and eat with some poor folks of Iran, Africa, right? Hear their stories of struggle in their regimes, whether it's controlled by a religion, monarchy, right? Whatever. Like you got this outer shell of the world, and like, and the way power is like it spikes, right? And this peak is talking to this peak, and they're throwing bombs at each other, enlisting the common folks into their conflicts and war. And what, how is that important? Why am I working overnight to serve this machine that has done a whole lot to make sure that at 52 years old, you know, my life outlook is just more struggle if I if I give up and give in. Choose not to. I'm gonna leave off of that. Black folks, what does that resonate at all? And remember, like I said at the top, slavery ain't went nowhere in the United States. If you have to set your alarm 4 or 5 days a week to get to a place to function, you know, when you have when your mind is bent on creativity, when you have moments within the day where you have bursts of energy and creativity, yet you're confined to a space to meet some deadline that you otherwise would not be doing. You're on a plantation. You're living the life of a slave right here in America, right? And America is just so hypocritical on a lot of points, too. I mean, our homeless population is exploding. I'm essentially homeless. I've got, some things going, but I'm day to day, week to week, check to check. I'm not anywhere in a position. I went on vacation just to see my mom, and I've been recovering from that thing for coming up on 6 months financially, right? So there, you gotta think rightly. We can't change things overnight, but there's some momentum in these things. But understand what's going on, Black people, and begin to begin some resistance, and begin to do some inventory in your own life and think about, what little move can I make today? Don't do drastic stuff. People don't stick with the big stuff like a resolution over a long time. What little thing can I do consistently to resist this regime and its aspects of oppression and thievery on my life? That's real. Think of something like that. Listen, I'm inspired to do this work by a man named Dr. Claud Anderson. He can articulate this stuff much better than I can. He's here on YouTube, and I'll show you where else you can run into him and his material. I read three of his works that have informed our discussion, along with some other resources uh, uh, through our time together. A Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask, Black Labor, White Wealth, Search for Power, and Economic Justice. We are in this text today. If you have it, we're on page 212. And Dr. Anderson's National Plan to Empower Black America, Powernomics. You find Dr. Anderson at powernomics.com. Behind me, you'll see the hashtag #US2 symbol. You'll find Black women having their community and their support. Very important stuff going on there. Check out Black Enough, BLAGGENUF, kind of a Blackface book experience. And if you got a business mind and that kind of energy, maybe you need some more resources, more networking, check out Dr. Boyce Watkins at the Black Business School. Easy to find. theblackbusinessschool.com is his work, his space. And he's got a lot of introductory stuff just to see if it's a good fit for his resources. Today, 298, we're in Black Labor, White Wealth. And the title is The Exploitation and Minstrelization of Black Music. And it's going to be a two-parter. There's a lot of material here, stuff to get our heads around. So in this last few minutes, we'll talk more historically and stuff. Tomorrow we'll talk about what the impact, the effects of what we're going to talk about. We're going to start with Blackface. Well, some controversy, I think, over last year or last year or late 2018. Blackface had its news cycle. Former or present sitting politician was seen in blackface in his college days and all that. And and now today it's a pejorative thing, like an N-bomb or things like that. So he got a lot of pushback and flack about that. But blackface, it goes back, to a time before blacks could perform in front of white audiences. So you get white folks with shoe polish or black makeup, and they jostle around and be black in front of a white audience. One big problem with that is that the caricature there increased stigmas and stereotypes against black folks. So it's an art form, but it produced a lot of negativity back on to the black folks. Because white folks, I don't know. You look at the medical community. Well, the black skin is leprosy, or we can do medical experimentation on black folks without anesthesia and stuff like that. Because the white people, some white people have this idea that the black folks are a different kind of human being, right? We're already listed as 3/5 of a human being in the Constitution or the rhetoric, however you find it, it's there. And we have amendments and all that stuff, but they pertain to the 3/5 people, right? Or 3/5 things running around in the United States. But black people aren't whole people, right? So it makes the excuse for white folks to treat black folks in all kinds of negative ways. Dump drugs into our neighborhoods, massive incarceration, be afraid of us, all kinds of stereotypes and whatnot. Everything is highly charged. When I've been in certain, not all, but certain white circles where I've been um, uh, unknowingly commissioned to, you know, be careful in my attitude and stuff, right? Because that portion of the white community is so highly sensitized, and they say I have to make adjustments because I'm impacting the community and stuff like that. It's like I'm just getting a cup of coffee here. What could I possibly? What harm am I possibly presenting to the community when I'm just trying to either go to school, go to walk to the convenience store, get on the bus? There's portions of white society that expects me to be careful in a sense. So some of that comes from this blackface, this entertainment, and all this stuff. But it's a compliment, right? What they say, imitation is a form of flattery or something like that. So the the blackface and all that, it was a demonstration of what white people don't have, and that's some soul and rhythm and getting outside the box artistically, um, in some ways, right? Not in a black way. In the past, I've talked about like there's no Africa in me, but I want to just roll that back up just a few degrees and say, from Africa, you get the rhythms, you get the influence, and when you hear notes bending and voices wailing, and then some of that stuff, in a charismatic, free-flowing way, well, that's the influence, right? It's not a generally original white phenomenon, okay? And I'm when I see, I'm a guitar player, so you give me a guitar player that has a lot of virtuosity with a lot of blues and jazz folded in there. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, yeah. The black is the soul to the sauce. You can't get around it. So there's so we have blackface, one of the original early forms of of imitation. But from time immemorial, the problem is black folks don't glean. I mean, you're talking billion-dollar industry, music contracts, and all this stuff. You got white people imitate black folks, bring it into the white community, white audience, and they're millionaires almost overnight. But I could probably name dozens of white performers, right, that got their cue from the Jacksons or Chuck Berry, Jimi Hendrix, right? These um, black entertainers who did not, um, amass great fortunes and whatnot. Uh, so it's an exploitation. Let me read a quote from Dr. Anderson here. He says the exploitation of black art forms has changed very little from the earliest instance of Jim Crowism. Here's some of the origins of imitating black art. On a Cincinnati street in 1830, Dan Rice, a famous white black-faced minstrel performer, saw a ragged little black boy singing "Jump, Jim Crow Jump," and copied the dance in his performances to the great pleasure of whites. Rice and other vaudeville blackface minstrels grew popular and wealthy, imitating black songs, dances, and comedy acts that contributed to creating negative stereotypes of blacks, right? So, I mean, some of the stereotypes of, a loud, transparent black person, um, like it gets that negative energy, from being mimicked by a white person in front of white audiences, and it boomerangs on black folks to put us in a more vulnerable position, and we're just trying to sing and stuff, right, and be expressive. From the early 1900s, blacks could not perform in front of whites, but so whites, you go to, well, um, when vinyl was even kind of getting off the ground. Black music was called race music, but you could only find it in certain shops and probably a small section, or you actually had to go, to Harlem and whatnot, to go see some of this stuff. And white folks are, sucking it up. White folks could go there, right? But black folks, either they had to sit in the balcony or they were excluded from coming to a white club, right? So white folks go hear, see, and then they come back and perform, um, and line their pockets with money from imitating what they got down in the hood, so to speak. Um, right? That's the flow of power and money and wealth in America, right? That's the paradigm. Entertainment, military, medicine, you name it, education, okay, uh, work, right? It's always, you want to, the power group, watches and exploits, but doesn't, um, compensate. Right? That was one of the issues on my last job. I trained people and stuff like that, but I didn't get the compensation. So, part of I don't train, I don't give away the talent anymore. I'm not worried if somebody else does it and gets paid whatever. I'm not giving my skills away in America anymore. In America, people get paid for their skills, training, and what they bring. And that's the way it works. And that's the way it's going to work for me. And that's the way it should work for you, too. Sorry about that. Uh, so, one thing blacks, and this is, we got a big problem with this in arts and entertainment, is propriety. How do we keep and glean all the resources of our creativity and things like that for ourselves? Right? We're fooled in thinking that the white folks hold all the power, pull all the strings, and whatnot. We can make our own. We can do our own thing, get our copyrights and propriety stuff in order, and glean all of the um, resources, um, that we're creating out in the world. You know, white people do it, other groups do it. Why aren't black people holding on to all this? We are creating, moment by moment, and not benefiting. That's Something's wrong in the equation, application. Black entertainment eventually went to Europe. Up sprang Big Band in the wake. Benny Goodman, Dorsey Brothers, things like that. I included a link. My email subscribers have a link to some Al Jolson clips singing Mammy and stuff like that. Um, but it's this exploitation of black music, entertainment, and stuff. It's another aspect of racism. You had in the early days, right? They didn't expect blacks to be able to perform on film or perform in front of white folks, right? So they do blackface, whatever, and keep us, make us have to work a little harder to come and perform in front of white folks, And this has been the same thing. You see it in the military, early military, stigma and myths about blacks not being able to fight as well as whites and things like that. So it's always, you know, I'm keen to it now, but be aware of how racism, it's these subtle microaggressions of racism are still very much alive in the United States, and do your best to work against it, call it what it is on the spot if you feel you can navigate that kind of confrontation and whatnot. But education is the key. Being aware is the first step in all this. I'm Tomlin's Nyback. That's day 298 out of the way. 365 days towards racial change. We will see you next time for part 2 of this awesome discussion. Bye-bye.